All right, let's do this. All right, pulling very gently. Hey everybody, it's Anna. Welcome back to my Fluid Art channel and thank you so much for stopping by. Today I'm doing Aurora pours 2 ways. So, just a couple weeks ago, there was a massive solar storm that created beautiful northern lights and southern lights. It took the world by storm. Solar storm, that is. Anyway, I know a lot of people have been doing paintings of it. Lots of people have seen it and posted their pictures and stuff like that. I have to do it though, because I saw it on Friday, May 10th, and it was pretty special. So I actually didn't know about it in advance. I was about to go to bed and then I saw something online and I was like, wait, what? There's a chance of an incredible Northern Lights display tonight? And I was all by myself in the house, and so I drove up the hill and to where the trees kind of opened up and I had a better view, and I stood on the top of my car and the sky was this stunning pink. Now, it wasn't as bright as the pictures make it seem, but it was still, the entire sky was glowing, and it was pretty amazing. So then, of course, you see everybody's pictures, and the cameras pick up so many more colors and details, and you're just like, this is fantastic. So I have to make a painting about it. So living in West Virginia, I saw the Northern Lights, Aurora Borealis, but of course there are also the Southern Lights, Aurora Australis. Never seen those. This is my first time seeing the Northern Lights. So let me know if you live in Australia. Did you see the Southern Lights? And, you know, how does it compare with what the Northern Lights were at the same time? Anyway, to the paintings. I have a 12-inch square and I have an 8 by 20 inch. This is going to be a flip cup. So I've done sort of a galaxy style flip cup and it's going to be very similar to that. This one is going to be sort of layers of paint, and then I'm going to swipe black up from it. So it's almost going to be like a ghost swipe where they appear out of the base layer. And that's the idea that I've had like for years. I've had it stashed away in my painting planning document and I haven't done it. So now I'm doing it. So I've got a cup. I've got a big, this is like a laminator sheet, and that's what I'll be swiping with. But these are my colors. I have ocean green, which looks very blue compared to these. I have bright aqua green. I think this is light magenta. Quinacridone rose. Purple. A little bit of white. This is only going to be for adding stars. And then I have a whole bunch of black. This is all mixed with Floetrol. Apart from the black, which is a craft paint, and that's mixed 1 part paint to between 1 and 2 parts Floetrol, probably 2. The rest of these are tube paints, and they are 1 part paint to 3 parts Floetrol. And the consistency is sort of a medium thin. It leaves a little mound, but it definitely does not stack up. It flows really, really well. So medium thin. I wanted it nice and thin because I want the colors to really flow and be very dreamy instead of staying really bold and defined. The thicker your paint is, the less it will mix. The thinner your paint is, the more it will mix. And for this, I want it to mix a lot. But I think that's all my details. This should be fun. Let's make some paintings. So for my flip cup, that's what I'm going to start with. I have a lot of black, so I want to start with a big layer of black in the cup, and then I'll pour in the colors one at a time. And I'm pouring them in kind of from a height so that they fall in rather than stacking. That will also help them to blend a lot with the black. And then we'll do some of this green. Then maybe the Quinacridone rose, since it's a warmer color. And I'm not adding a ton of each color, and I'm only adding one addition of each color, I think. Okay, that's one of each. Let me add a bit more black, even though there's plenty of black in here. Maybe just a little bit more of the green and the Quinacridone rose, because this is kind of the color that I was seeing. It was this warm pink, almost orange, but then in the pictures it showed some pinks and purples as well. All right. And then more black, because even though the cup looks completely black, those colors will show up strongly. They're already starting to. Okay. Nice careful flip, because it was a really full cup. I have a lot of paint. I mixed up way more paint than I needed. Okay. I'm going to slide this and then sort of pull it diagonally, and then I'll probably add more black paint around the edges to help it flow, because 9 ounces of paint, which is, or 10, whatever this is, 9 or 10 ounce cup, I don't think it's going to be quite enough to fully cover this. All right, guys, let's flip. Okay. So there's a lot of that green. There's a lot less. Okay, here's the pink. I see the pink here underneath. So let me pour some black around the edges and get my corners covered with black. Okay, this is looking really interesting. So the pink is very faint here underneath. There's some cells for sure. I'm gonna torch it to maybe bring up some other colors, and then I'll stretch it and see whether more of the pink appears. Oh yeah, the pink's right here underneath. I think as I stretch it, more of it will show up. So I really like that wispy pale layer at the top, so I don't want to lose that. But I'll come down this way. Yeah, I don't know actually that I want the pink spots. And I have a lot of paint on here, so we will leave this one more streaky. Just make sure that's all covered nicely. Man, I do have a lot of paint here. I'm loving this shape though. This is a beautiful shape. Oh yeah. All right, so I'm done. That was super easy. What's interesting is that even though I put in all those bright colors, because they were all up against the black, nothing's super bright. The pink is showing up very strong there. We'll see whether that continues to grow. But here, this pink and purple wash is gorgeous. That's very much what like what the sky looked like. And then the bits of the green and the bluish purple, also very, very much like an Aurora. So I love it. I probably should have covered my edges first, like painted the sides, because I think right here along the edge it's gonna go a little transparent, just because the paint is thin and it's a dark color. But I can touch that up with a brush. All right, let me torch one more time. Okay, it's time for the stars. So I have a fan brush here. You want a nice soft fan brush. And then I'm just gonna tap it against something else. So you dip it in just a little bit, and then you kind of tap it to make sure that stuff is coming. Okay. I think I want a little bit larger stars than that. And the white sometimes does sink into the paint because it's a heavier density. So if you're wondering like what's happening to all the nice stars that I'm adding, some of them are sinking and you may need to come. I'll probably come and add some larger ones with a brush once this is dry. But wow, this is crazy. Lots of cells. This is very much a fluid art Aurora. But at the same time, the washes and the swoops feel very much like the real thing. So I like it. So we'll call that one good for now, even though the stars are very, very small. So I'll move this out of the way and we will get a close-up of that later. But let's move on to the swipe now. Okay, so for the swipe, it's gonna be black base. So black is gonna be the starting color, and then I'm gonna pull that across bands of the other colors. So they should fade very nicely throughout kind of the whole gradient of the sky. So this is gonna be the bottom, because I'm gonna be pulling this way, pulling upwards. I'll start with my black edge, and it'll be a fairly large band of black. So usually the first color sort of near the horizon is a green. So I'm gonna put this down here. And this color often kind of disappears, so I'm gonna put a lot of it because I have a feeling it's not gonna hold its own very well. And then after that will come the warmer pink, the Quinacridone rose, and then the light magenta, then some purple. I don't want tons of the purple. So now I'm wondering, is this enough color to pull all the way up? I think it is. So now I'm gonna add a bit of the ocean green, the more blue color up here at the top. And that'll be the final color in this. And then just to make it interesting, I'm gonna add patches of some of the other colors so it doesn't look completely uniform, so that it'll look more dynamic. I think that's probably good. Okay, so then we need to cover the edges because the sides are just gonna be black. Okay, a lot of black here. Got my band of colors. I'm hoping that they will show up nice and bright as I pull them through the sky, and I'm hoping that I didn't start everything down way too low. Maybe I'll just tip everything down this way a little bit. Just get the whole thing started a little bit lower down. Okay, so as I touch this, I'm just gonna really gently make sure it's touched all across and then kind of step back as I pull. Pop some air bubbles. All right, let's do this. All right, pulling very gently. Okay, that's interesting. So we got a very gentle fade. The black is coming up through the other colors, which is a little bit crazy because a lot of my paints, it's weird. I specifically chose several paints that are low density, meaning they want to rise. They want to create cells. So I wasn't expecting the black to also then rise through the other colors. But it is. But I'm getting lots of cells, so this is really interesting. Instead of a nice kind of fade, I'm getting lots of cells. So the green has gone very kind of, it's not really green. The green with the black is almost gray. And then a lot of the pinks, the quinacridone rose underneath is not showing up much. The light magenta and the purple are showing up as cells, along with some of the ocean green. And then the black is eating up a lot of my other colors. So this is not what I was expecting. Let me give it a minute and see what it does, because sometimes you think you know what it's gonna do, and then after a few minutes, the paint has done something different. Okay. I don't like this. So what I'm gonna do, because I have a lot of colors left, is I'm gonna scrape it. I'm gonna scrape most of the paint off. Do you hear the thunder outside? We've got a storm going. All right, I'm gonna scrape most of the paint off and relayer it, but I'm gonna have a lot more of my colors and a lot less of the black. So there's still gonna be black sort of around the edge and some up along the top so that it can fade into it, but not so much that it gets eaten up like this. Do you see? So the color that's here, that's because there wasn't black underneath it. Where there was black underneath, the black has come up as cells, and it's just a mess. So I'm gonna scrape. I'm gonna start by scraping this. I hardly ever scrape, guys. You probably have never seen me scrape paint off of a canvas, but I gotta do it for this one. Yeah, I'm gonna scrape the whole thing, all the way down to here. Let's start again. I'm gonna layer them in the same way, but it's gonna be larger bands of color. Wider bands. Because now they need to cover the entire canvas. So we want a lot of the quinacridone rose, because I want that to be like the main color. Okay, so those colors go up a lot higher. Now I can't have literally nothing, you know, bare canvas without paint, but what I can do is I can just put black to about here, because I know as I swipe this, it's gonna travel up considerably. So as long as the top is covered, it doesn't matter if there's not a lot of black on this section. The canvas is still wet, the paint's gonna move, so I wanna make sure that my sides have enough paint. Yeah, this is an interesting one. I'm just experimenting at this point, because my first idea didn't work so well. Let's swipe again and hope for better results. Tell you what, I am still getting a lot of just kind of cells. Lots of cells coming up, not a lot of fade. let me torch it, see what that does. I'm going to turn it around so that I get a better look at it. I don't much like the area at the top here. This is where my paint ran out and crossed into the black, and so the black is eating it up. But the rest of it is kind of cool. So here's something that I wasn't planning on doing, but I think I'm going to do now. I think I'm going to turn this into a chameleon cell pour. So chameleon cells, of course, you often swipe different colors over each other, and then you use a toothpick that's dipped in silicone oil, and as you touch it to the paint, it opens up cells, which reveals certain colors and patterns. And I think if we start it down here with the green, it'll show a cool transition from these colors to one another. It's not going to be as much of a blend as I wanted, but it might be able to bring some order to what we've got here. I have a lot of paint down here on the lower section, so I'm stretching it downwards. Okay, we'll try the chameleon cells. They might work, they might not, but it's at least a shot, because I don't like this very much. Chameleon cells might do it though, so let me grab my silicone. So I'm using Spot On Treadmill silicone oil, and I'm just going to put a couple drops in this little paint lid. And I'm going to dip the toothpick into the silicone oil, and then I'm just going to make some kind of waving lines going up. Well guys, this is a strange one for sure. However, with the chameleon cells, I was able to pull out a lot more of that green. The moving patterns of it make it feel dynamic, kind of like the Northern Lights. I don't know that I love it, but I'm not going to scrape it. We'll call it good for now, and then I'll see if I do anything with it later. But for now, let me give you close-ups of both. Oh wait, I gotta add stars. Am I adding stars? I'm not going to add stars to this one because I don't know what I'll do with it. If I add stars, I'll just add them with a brush. Yeah. Okay. So, close-up time for both paintings. Okay, here they both are. They look quite different, don't they? One is very bright, one is very dull. So let's start with the flip cup. So this one, in the time that it took me to paint the other one, a lot of the color has faded. So you can still see sort of the pinky purple area down here. But this section, there's a lot less color there. We still have the light swoop, but there's not much color in it. And we've lost pretty much all of that green. Which, that green is a relatively high density paint. And the black and all the other colors are relatively low density, which means the green sank, which is a bummer. So I still like it. This looks very similar to what the sky looked like with the naked eye, plus, you know, the cells from the black paint coming up and all of that. But not quite as vibrant as I was hoping for. This, on the other hand, is super vibrant. It's like neon. So the chameleon cells definitely, they bring up that color from the bottom, and they make it feel kind of dynamic and swooping going up. But I don't care for this top area where my swipe ended, sadly, and then where the swipe ended, the black just took over. So I don't like the top. I don't like how that looks. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that. Whether I use a brush to bring the black and like fade it down into these colored sections more. I don't know. I honestly don't know if I'm going to keep either of these paintings. So I need you guys to tell me, do you like them? Are they worth saving? I will come back and show you how they look when they're dry. Okay, here they are dry. So let me start with the Chameleon cell one. When I showed the picture of this to my husband, he said it looks like a psychedelic spine. Which it does. Very bright and colorful neon spinal column. Anyway, so those cells continued to grow, and the ones over here on the right, they went right off the side. So I don't particularly like this, just because the top is kind of messy, and then down here has gotten stretched, and nothing looks quite right. But it was definitely an interesting way of salvaging what I had and bringing up some more of the bright colors from underneath. So then over here to the flip cup, man, this one is so dark. So what I realized upon looking back at the video is that we had this whole band of green right across that middle area. And because that light green color is a denser paint, it just sank way down. So you can see kind of the lacing where the black poked up through it. So all of that lace would have been the green, but then because it was a heavier density, it sank down underneath the black, which is why you have kind of those ridges. So it was very interesting to see that. But then even this band here, which was some of that ocean green, it has gone dull too. And even the pink and the purple looks brighter here on video than it does in person. So in terms of looking at these, neither one turned out exactly the way that I wanted. And I've done some thinking about why that is. And the first thing that I've thought of is that I think the black paint was not apple barrel like I thought. I think it was a mix of apple barrel and Creative Inspirations black paint, which I have been coming to realize when that is mixed at a very thin consistency, the density makes it rise up and eat up all your other colors, like these spots that you see here, and like what happened up here, where it just kind of ate up the other colors. That's what this black color will do. So if I was going to try this again, I would try one of two things. I would either try a different black, either apple barrel, which I've had good success with in the past, or a different brand of tube paint, like Blick Studio Acrylics or Amsterdam or something like that that might have a heavier density black paint, and then see what that does. Or possibly I could try mixing my paints to a somewhat thicker consistency, because the thicker it is, the less likely it is to react in the way that it did this time. The other idea would be that instead of having a black background, I would do a very dark navy background. I love making dark navy with phthalo blue and then mixing black into it, and the end result is very, very dark, almost black, but it has a blue undertone, and I think the phthalo blue might be a heavier density than the black, and so it might work better in this application and not make so many cells. So I may be trying this again. I would love to conquer this technique and get a really beautiful Aurora pour. So if that happens, I will be sure to share it with you. But thank you guys for joining me for this Northern Lights experiment. I hope it inspired you to try something new and to not be discouraged if your painting doesn't go the way that you are picturing, because it happens to all of us. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys!